There are a million gurus telling you one thing and then 2 million more telling you something else. With so much contradicting information, it can be hard to figure out what actually has value, what works, what doesn't, who you should listen to, and how you can get the success that you deserve. So in this video, I'm going to tell you nothing but proven facts that I have learned by running Facebook ads for over a decade, spending hundreds of millions of dollars and driving billions of dollars in revenue. These are not my subjective takes. These are the things that we know as fact, based on how this software was written, based on how businesses operate. Scientific principles going back hundreds of years, and economic principles going back thousands. These are non-arguable points and will ultimately be the foundation of what you need to make Facebook successful, make it easy, and ultimately get you hours of your life back while putting more money in your pocket so you can spend more time with your family and enjoy the quality of life and provide opportunity for other people. This is not how to raise your ROAS. This is not how to get rich quick. This is not how to hack the platform. This is how to use a tool properly to improve your quality of life and create opportunities for others. First things first, we need to define what success means for our business. When it comes to e-commerce, that success is ultimately defined at acquiring profitable customer journeys. So let's focus on the thing that everybody says you're supposed to care about that actually doesn't mean anything, ROAS. Now, definition of ROAS is return on ad spend. But let's break this down for a minute, because by the end of this, you're never gonna let anybody trick you into thinking that it's important ever again. And you'll also be able to go to anybody that says it is important and shut them down quickly. And most importantly, if you've hired somebody to run your ads for you, you're gonna know that there are either people that understand that ROAS is complete bullshit, or you know that they're not people that you should ever work with again because they don't know how business works. And ultimately, the future of your business is completely predicated on them knowing what to do with your money. So first thing, what is ROAS? ROAS is attributed revenue divided by spend, okay? This is ultimately a fraction, right? A fraction is a numerator on top divided by the denominator, the number on the bottom. So where does this break down? Well, the numerator is attributed revenue, all right? Is the attribution something that we trust? Do we know that we're getting 100% tracking on all the sales? No, okay. Is the revenue 100%? Do we see all the revenue? Or more importantly, is that revenue only from that channel? No, okay. So the numerator is tracking that we can't trust, that ultimately gives us a number that we know isn't accurate. Well, is it relative day to day? No. Is it reliable in that you cannot manipulate it? Of course not. So what you're telling me is the numerator, the top number in the fraction, is a total count that is off of transactions and how much those transactions are worth. But we also know what those transactions are worth is neither accurate nor predictive of future behavior, and it's not inclusive of revenue, and it's not incremental. So sometimes the ROAS of Facebook includes revenue that would be shown in the ROAS of Google that also shows money that's attributed to revenue on email. So the top half of that fraction is a number that ultimately we know isn't accurate, is not fully inclusive, and is not predictive. Okay, well, at least we know the spend is accurate, but it isn't. Is it the spend on that ad set, that campaign, that platform for today, this week, this month? My point here is, if your retargeting campaign gets a ROAS of 3 today, how much money did you spend to put somebody into that retargeting campaign? If your retargeting campaign's a 3, but it costs you $1,000 to get somebody there, are you really making enough money? Also, how much money did you spend not on Facebook? How much money did you spend on Google or TikTok or against influencers to get somebody to take that action when they saw that Facebook ad? The ad spend or the ad set spend or the campaign spend that day, that week, that month is by no means holistic for that customer journey, because also customer journeys last decades. So the denominator lacks context and is also not close to accurate. So ROAS is ultimately a number that we know isn't true divided by a number that isn't accurate. If the purpose of data is to help you make decisions, do you want to make decisions dividing a number that is a complete lie by another number that is completely inaccurate and lacks context? Does that make any sense? Because where I'm sitting, that makes no sense at all. And I know you love these types of videos, but sadly YouTube only has a like button. So go ahead, take a moment, smash that button enthusiastically, show your love. It's right down, I think right there. Hit that button, right? And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any other videos. With that being said, let's get back to it. So the point here is we can't define success as ROAS. We have to define it by a real metric. So the metric we want to use to define our success is simple. It's blended CPA. Across your entire business today, this week, this month, how much did it cost to get a transaction? How much money out versus how many transactions did you get in? And ultimately, those transactions have a different AOV, and ultimately, every customer journey that you buy has a different LTV. But generally, first transactions are gonna have an AOV that's more or less steady, and the LTV is gonna be more or less projectable. So if you know that basically every transaction more or less costs 50 bucks, and you know every transaction more or less is worth 85, then your blended CPA says on a daily basis, every transaction you make gives you $35 profit. Just make more transactions. You'll make more money. That's fairly simple. And that goes into PSM, right? That's LTV divided by the sum of CPA and COGS times the number of times somebody buys. The point is, blended CPA is infinitely more valuable than new customer CPA. Because what's new customer CPA? Well, how much does it cost to get a new customer? Okay, but if you're only focusing on new customers, but you don't work on LTV, how valuable is it? And if you do work on LTV because you're getting multiple transactions, wouldn't you want to focus on improving the number of transactions that you get and ultimately the lifetime value of every single customer? It would behoove you and be so much more beneficial to your bank account to get more customers to buy a second time than to get more customers to buy once. Unless you're not interested in future cash flow and profitability and the success of the business. If you're an ad agency that only pretends to know what they're doing and says the path to success is acquiring as many new customers as possible, then of course, you're not interested in the business success of your client. So I said, if somebody's focused on NCPA or somebody's focused on ROAS, it means they don't understand business. NCPA, new customer cost per acquisition, only really matters if you have like a 90% second purchase rate, or only really matters if like 90% of people, 95% of people buy or don't buy. Like if only 2% of people ever buy from you a second time, don't worry about the cost per acquisition because basically everybody's a new customer anyway. And if 95% of people buy a second or a third time and your LTV is a huge magnifier, then yeah, just go start as many customer journeys as possible. But the odds are you're not anywhere close to any of those numbers, so just try to get more sales at a profit that ensures future cash flow. That's success. And what's MER? And side note, for those of you saying, yeah, we don't use ROAS, we use MER. MER is just ROAS at a higher level. It's a more elaborate version of the same exact bull that ROAS is. And here's why. It doesn't tell you what to do. Say your MER is a 3. What are you gonna do tomorrow? Should you spend more? Or is your MER a 3 because you just launched an email campaign that makes all of your marketing efforts look phenomenal and you got great results, and so, hey, we're gonna spend up into it and now all of our marketing crashes because, well, you had to know the context that we ran this thing and our CPA is actually this and our AOV is that and our LTV is this. If you already look at all those other numbers, why are you looking at MER and ROAS anyway? It's just a report card. It's only for the ego of the marketer. Your finance department doesn't care about it. Your fulfillment team doesn't care about it. Your customers don't care about it. And if you care about growing your business, you shouldn't care about it either. The second thing that I want to cover is how important the customer journey and the experience really is. If you don't have a good customer journey, if you don't have a good customer experience, what you have is ultimately a business that operates on selling a single product, which basically means you're a salesperson. It's almost impossible to generate anything close to a 7 or 8 figure business by only selling one thing to somebody once. Even car companies where the product is $30, $40, $50, $100,000 generally sell products to people more than once. Because you're not just buying the car, you'll probably buy multiple cars from that same dealership, but you're also getting the protection plan. You're also getting, going in on the warranty. You're also probably financing that thing somehow. You might also go back to the dealership to get the car worked on. They're tacking you over and over and over again. Buying the car is just an entry level to a long-term cash flow situation. That's important. Even realtors that sell homes for $250,000, $1 million, $250 million sell homes to the same people, or buy a home for somebody and sell it. Like, the relationship lasts for more than one transaction. Think about the last time you went to Amazon. That experience is seamless. It's beautiful, right? You go to Amazon, you type in what you want. Amazon's business model is the exact opposite of Facebook's. When you go to Amazon, they want you to type in what you want. They want you to buy it and get off Amazon as fast as possible so that you're happy. Facebook's business model is to keep you on there for as long as possible, which is why if you're good at Amazon ads or you're good at Google ads, that doesn't mean you have any strength in Facebook. And what makes you good at SEO and Amazon is not anything that you should be doing in Facebook. Like, you don't care about CPC. You don't care about CTR because those metrics don't matter. The point is that when a customer buys from you, If they don't feel good about that experience, they're less likely to buy from you again. And more importantly, when it comes to Facebook ads, if they're less likely to buy from you again and they're not happy with your customer experience, your CPMs are gonna go up. And your competitors are gonna get preferential treatment in the auction. So your ads are not only gonna cost more money, but they're gonna be shown much later in somebody's feed. They're not gonna be shown when somebody opens up Instagram and it's the second thing in their feed. No, you're gonna be the thing that's shown 15 minutes into a doom scroll, and you're gonna pay 50% more for the privilege of only being a burden to somebody's experience once they've already opted in for 10, 15, 20 minutes. If you don't care about your customer and ultimately produce a product that makes them interested in you, when your business fails, it won't be because you ran Facebook ads poorly. There's no way to run Facebook ads well if the business is terrible, because ultimately Facebook will price you out of being able to do business there anyway, because ultimately showing your ad is a liability to their business model of giving people a positive experience. That's something you should keep in mind. The last thing I want to talk about today is simple: broad, open targeting. The lack of targeting is the best targeting that you can have. We got to change the idea of targeting on Facebook. Audiences mattered when I started on Facebook back in 2012, 2013, because it was random distribution. It was exactly like Google Display or programmatic. You chose a group of people and narrowed it down so that you could say, all I need to do is hit this group of 1 million people, hopefully this many times. I'm going to find the right folks to see my ad and I'm going to make money. That made sense. Back when it was a PPC platform, you did care about things about cost per click and click-through rate and all of that stuff. But that changed in 2018. In 2018, audiences became obsolete. Your ads do the targeting. Your ads attract the attention. On Facebook, your objective as a business is to monetize that attention. Facebook has more data than Amazon or Google put together ever will. Facebook understands the customer journey on the average user going back over a decade. They know the stores you've physically been in. They know all the money that you've spent. They know your tax information. They know your income. They know the websites you've been on. They know the words that you use. They know where you've been, who you've been talking to, what you've been saying, what you spent your money on, and more importantly, what touch points got you to take specific actions so that they can ultimately, and everybody knows this, Facebook can condition people to think and behave in a certain way. Now, this has been used by really bad people to get really bad things done, but it can also be used by you to help somebody see what they're looking for and make their life better. It can also help you show somebody something that they're looking for so they can make their life better. As many evil things that happened from Cambridge Analytica, there's as much upside opportunity to Facebook to just show people positive experiences. And that was a change that happened after that scandal in 2016. And to be fair, the terrible things that happened around the world as a result of it. Now, the ads do the targeting. And really simply put, if your ad gets shown to 1,000 people, 500 people hate it, 500 people love it. The next 1,000 people that your ad is shown to are going to look a lot like those people that showed an interest in your ad and gave a behavior that Facebook deems as positive. And if they have a good experience with your business, Facebook is going to find other people that are going to have a good experience with your business, and your ad will get shown to a higher and higher quality person. And because you're doing a good job at earning their attention, the cost of advertising is going to go down. So you're going to reach a higher quality person for less and less money. Your CPMs will go down and your CPAs will go down. And ultimately what that means is you can spend more money, because remember, we're defining success as the blended CPA. What is the impact of your Facebook marketing on omni-channel? What does it do to your Google search? What does it do to your Amazon? What does it do to the opportunity to have an email? If your actual acquisition cost per transaction is below what you can afford, you can spend more money. And ultimately, as you spend more money, Facebook's gonna even get smarter at this. And what we find over and over again for years now is that if you do it this way, Facebook gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more profitable. And if you don't do it this way, and we've all seen the tweets, right? We've all seen the reports on Instagram. We've all seen the YouTube videos. Facebook's getting more expensive. The cost per acquisition of a customer is going up. Targeting is getting less effective. And we're gonna have to ultimately abandon it and find new ways of doing arbitrage and all this other stuff, which is basically just excuses for people that don't use the tool properly. To say why them not understanding how to do their job isn't their fault. You have the choice of listening to people who claim to be victims of something they can't control, that are ultimately also usually the ones that say ROAS matters and the path of success is hacking Facebook. Or you can say, you know what? I'm done. I've been exposed to better information and I don't need to play that game ever again. You have the choice right here, right now to say, I'm no longer going to be taken advantage of by these used car salesmen that do the rain dance until a hurricane comes and then take credit for everything. You can just focus on broad targeting with dynamic creatives and leverage Facebook's environment. And if you want more information on that, you can see this video here on how to build a 322 ad. You can use broad targeting with this environment to buy higher quality impressions so that because you're giving users a good customer experience, your CPMs are going to go down, and ultimately you're evaluating the success of your marketing campaigns because your blended CPA comes down, which means your margin per transaction goes up, and because you're getting a higher quality with a larger margin more often, you can improve the volume of conversions that happen on a daily basis. Not only are you improving the margin per transaction, you're getting more of them, which ultimately means you can scale your business. This can be almost completely automated. You need one campaign to do it, and you need to stop using all of the things that people that don't understand how Facebook works tell you to do. Stop caring about ROAS. Start caring about your customer. Stop using targeting, and never run an ad again that doesn't start as a dynamic creative. If you do that, your life will get easier. Your bottom line, you're gonna have to focus on how many more folks do I have to hire. That is a problem that makes the world better. So the last thing that I wanna say is, in the interest of making Facebook easy, because it is, in the interest of seeing more success and less stress, which you absolutely deserve, down below you're going to see links to the Facebook Ads MBA program, which is the single best investment you can make. It's like, if you were to hire me to train your entire team, how do I make it so you don't even need me in 10 to 12 weeks? That's the Facebook Ads MBA program. It comes with lifetime access to a community, weekly classes, over a dozen courses, and every bit of information that you need, soup to nuts, to make Facebook something that takes less than an hour a week while your bank account goes up. You'll also see links to the Disruptor School, to the newsletter, and to the merch store, and a few other goodies in there. So with that being said, I know you could be literally anywhere on the internet, and you chose to spend your time here. And I want to let you know that I appreciate that and understand the responsibility that puts on me. Unlike most other folks in this space, I actually care about your bottom line, your mental health, and your opportunity, and the opportunity that you have to create opportunity for others. That being said, thank you so much. YouTube says you might like a couple of these. Don't forget to smash the button. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye.